Lae Port workers end strike. Ijivitari by-election starts this Saturday. And Airlines PNG now trading as PNG AIR.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
A very good evening to you and thanks for joining me with Thursday's news. Well, Lae Port workers have ended a 3-day standoff with the PNG Ports Corporation and the national government following a restraining order that has been served to union lawyers. The order, which restrains workers from any industrial action, has named the union president, Samuel Nalau, Ryback CEO, George Guare, as well as key union executives in Port Moresby. Today, union executives urged workers to return to work but maintain the fight to stop the engagement of a foreign port operator is not over.
This morning, port workers from Ryback, Consort and Lae Port Services gathered at the Ryback container yard for a short briefing by union executives. They were told to return to work. The decision to end the stop work comes 24 hours after a restraining order was obtained by the PNG Ports Corporation. The order named as defendants Union President Samuel Nalau, Head of Ryback Stevedores George Guare and 5 other union executives in Port Moresby. While the injunction has dampened the union calls for the reversal of a government decision to bring in a new port service operator, Union President Samuel Nalau said the fight isn't over.
Our members, the employees of the 3 Stevedore company, to be prepared and to be on standby on the hour, every hour.
The injunctive orders indicated that the defendants were in potential breach of the Transport Act and the stop work had no legal basis.
Key stakeholders in support of the union maintain that any move to introduce foreign players will marginalize local workers and put companies out of business. PNG Ports, meanwhile, maintains that the selection process hasn't yet been finalized and that the final decision will be made in the second quarter of 2016. 4 companies have already expressed interest. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lae.
Well, Chairman of the Morobe Provincial Government's Business Arms, Chris Gaya, has called on the provincial government to crack down on street vendors. His call comes after last Friday's incident where street vendors armed with bush knives attacked several guards. The guards were placed by Lae City Authority at various locations around the city.
2 months ago, the Lae City security guards had an encounter with the street vendors where the security guards' car windows were broken. And last Friday, another incident. Guards were chased by street vendors armed with bush knives at the Lae's main market. In 2011, an uprising in Lae occurred where 7 youths were killed. Authorities drew links between street vendor behavior and the harassment that triggered the violence. After the 2011 clashes, street vending activities slowed down.
We ask him, all get the line now, go past all divisions in here. They have to have a crisis meeting and come up with an idea to solve this problem here.
The Lae and local level government laws on trading in public says it's an offense to sell goods that are considered to be below the minimum quality standards. The law also prohibits the sale of items outside or allocated marketplaces within the city of Lae. Part 4 of the Informal Sector and Development Control Act of 2003 in public places says that any trader other than the holder of the license who conducts businesses or provides services without a license is guilty of an offense. It is also against the local level government's law to sell in public bus stops and footpaths, causing inconvenience to commuters and pedestrians. The penalty is a fine not above 500 kina or a jail time up to 12 months. Mata Luis, National EMTV News, Lae.
Well, residents of 5 houses at the Waigani Police Barracks, commonly known as the Games Village, are crying foul as waste from their sewage systems overflows in the area. The stench is unbearable and residents say their plea for help has fallen on deaf ears. They have faced health and hygiene problems for 15 years now, and they want authorities to do something about it.
Occupants of houses 154 to 158 at the Games Village complained bitterly about the stench coming from waste spillage that they've had to endure for over the years. Their main concerns were that the chronic spillage was causing them health and hygiene problems. Day in and day out, mothers worry for the health and safety of their children.
I'm sick all picking too. Over the time, but bell long all pain. All kisim diarrhea.
They said the grinder pumps responsible for breaking down the solid waste has been dysfunctional since 1995. This has led directly to the overflow of solid waste material. Residents are fed up of cleaning up the mess and have reportedly fallen ill in the process. Although they have reported their complaints to water and health authorities, nothing practical has been done in terms of maintenance.
Last 2 months ago, Molan Edaranu come. Me talk file long all. Now Lixim report. Kind report me play walking me go. All policeman yet bring him report go. Minus away. But me play some name. Kind of me play stop the settlement. Barracks, police barracks.
Residents say sewage systems were analyzed and reports were filed repeatedly, but to no avail. They say the common response, and what has become somewhat of a disappointing trend, was that there weren't funds available to conduct routine maintenance.
You can look him, look save, kiss him, pizza, blonem. Nabaipla talk save, so big man. Where usai look out him this last something must come na fix him now. People by amamas na start one time or family there.
Attempts to get a response from Edaranu were unsuccessful, and Edaranu has yet to reply to emails sent. Melissa Goviro, National EMTV News.
Well, voters in the Ijivitari will go to the polls this Saturday for the Ijivitari by-election. A total of 21 candidates will be contesting the Ijivitari open seat. Ousted Ijivitari member David Arore was endorsed at the weekend by Prime Minister Peter O'Neill as the People's National Congress Party candidate.
Candidates contesting the Ijivitari by-elections want transparency in the voting and counting process. They have called on the Provincial Electoral Office to ensure voters are scrutinized to avoid past incidences of underage voting. Come Saturday, voters will cast their ballots for a new leader. Intending candidate David Arore was the latest to be endorsed by the People's National Congress Party at the weekend. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill led a team to the province to make the endorsement.
You want a strong leadership, and this is where David Arore is here today. When you are voting for David Arore, you are not voting for him only, you are voting for me too.
He says the government is committed to improving service delivery in the Ijivitari district, and voters must show support to the government by choosing a good leader.
You vote for somebody who's going to work for you.
David Arore was ousted in a court battle this year by John Warrison and is hoping to win back his seat.
And therefore the decision-making time is now. If you are not believing, if you are Thomas, I hope today you shall believe and you shall make your decision today.
Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
Airlines PNG has just rebranded its name and will now trade as PNG AIR. This is the second time the company has undergone a rebranding exercise. The airliner has come a long way from past experiences and growing from strength to strength and persevering in PNG's tough environment. EMTV's Fabian Hakalits with tonight's special report.
From its humble beginnings, known as Milne Bay Airlines, MBA, then Airlines PNG, and now PNG AIR, the company has grown from strength to strength, serving the people of this country. It started 2 years ago in 2013 when the board and management decided to rebrand the airline, a new name and visual identity to reinforce it as a company proudly PNG owned and run by its people. Chief Executive Officer Murali Siva said the rebranding fits the company's vision as PNG's next generation airline of choice and symbol of fleet transformation, people connecting people.
When we decided to bring brand new aircraft, one of the most sophisticated aircraft, we took that opportunity to rebrand. And based on that, we went through a very, very thorough process.
PNG AIR's focus is training and staff development throughout the process of introducing the ATR 72-600 aircraft and developing the PNG AIR brand. Reinforcing the airline service culture is through staff training.
So we've sent all the staff from engineers and pilots, flight attendants, ground staff, everyone. So they've been doing a lot of training, and training will be one of the important focus for us for the next 12 months.
It was a dual celebration last night, the rebranding of Airlines PNG to PNG AIR and the launching of the new aircraft ATR 72-600. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill commissioned the new aircraft and stated that the national government will continue to support the aviation industry because of the demand and contribution to economic growth.
We in government try to subsidize this industry as much as possible within the, of course, confines of the limitations of funding that we have. And I know that with the support of the shareholders, we will continue to build the capacity of the air transport sector in our country.
The rebranding comes at a time when Port Moresby is in the process of becoming the air transport hub for Asia Pacific, and the Prime Minister challenged PNG AIR to expand its services abroad. A new brand provides a new beginning for the company's significant change and represents its bold plan for the future. The new name highlights the airline's connection to PNG and also reflects stakeholders' commitment, MRDC and NASFund.
This is investment in the new brand, PNG AIR, shows our confidence in the business model and a commitment to providing competitive service, our confidence in the country and its growing economy.
PNG AIR is committed to improve performance, focusing in the domestic market. It has invested heavily in the best aircraft that suits the environment in such mountainous terrains of this country.
A new attitude, a new way of doing business, a new approach to aviation in this market, because it is our desire, now that we have what we believe is the best product, the people we believe are the best staff, the brand that we believe is the best brand in the aviation market in PNG.
The ATR 72-600 today made its maiden flight to Lae province under the command of Captains Jerome Bonetto and Rafael Come. It was given a welcome washdown as it taxied into the Natsab Airport tarmac. According to CEO Murali Siva, 7 more ATR aircraft will be purchased to fly in PNG. By 2020, PNG is expected to outpace the Dash 8 aircrafts.
But looking into the future, we had to invest for the next 10-20 years. So we went through again another very, very thorough process to select the ATR.
The ATR 72-600 offers the widest cabin in the turboprop market, new seats, more baggage rooms and a greater feeling of space, plus reliability to get you on time to your destination. It offers technology exceeding current technical, safety and maintenance requirements and significantly enhancing operational safety. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Well, plenty more to come on National EMTV News tonight. Police housing woes and the police modernisation program also calls for the state to free up land for housing. Stay with us for those stories and more. Welcome back to National EMTV News. The state needs to free up more land for housing projects to be developed in the cities and towns of Papua New Guinea. These were comments from the National Housing Estate's Head of Special Projects, Madeline Paulispo. She spoke to EMTV News after the official handover of titles for the new joint venture housing project undertaken by the National Housing Estate and development partner Berkeley Capital.
At a media conference today, Acting Secretary for the Department of Lands officially handed over 48 land titles to National Housing Estate Executive Chairman Kevin Ahipum. This will now pave way for the 35 million kina joint venture housing project called Gobuta Street Estate, located at the Tokarara suburb. NHE General Manager Special Projects Madeline Paulispo said more land is needed for housing projects.
And especially the lands department to free up more land so that we can be able to do relocation once we start demolition. Simply because these are our people, we don't want to put them on the street. As whatever development that is coming up, it is good for the country because we want to change the, we want to provide a facelift to the cities and towns throughout the country, and especially in Port Moresby where you have a lot of international events.
Acting Secretary for the Department of Lands, Luther Sipison, said today's event marked the partnership between the department and NHE.
This is part and parcel of government initiative to address this chronic housing issue that is faced. So I'm pleased to, as the head of the lands department, to facilitate the issuance of the titles.
Civil works on the 3.2 hectares Gobuta Street Estate project have been completed. 48 houses will be built to Australian standards with quality materials.
We are taking on joint venture partners that have very, they're very reputable. Berkeley Capital, for instance, is one of the best construction company in the Southern Hemisphere. We have the Korean and Japanese company coming on in for Gabutu. They rate about the 5th in the Asian APAC area, APAC region. And so these are the type of quality developers that we'd like to come into joint venture under the PPP policy.
Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
A police constable has been arrested in Simbu for the killing of a colleague in Enga last year. The constable from Layagam in Enga was part of a group that killed another police constable and 2 members of his family. Simbu's provincial police commander, Albert Belli, told EMTV News the suspect has moved to Simbu unofficially and was allowed to work after citing that he was in personal danger in Enga. After learning that he was a suspect, Simbu police arrested him today and had him transported to Enga, where he will be formally charged. Well, housing is a chronic problem for the Madang police, who are currently outnumbered by the Madang population at the ratio of 1:3,000, but are expected to contain crime rates in the province. The public is pointing fingers at the police for the increasing crime rates, but most do not know how the days for these men in blue start and end.
The Madang police housing problem is so chronic that some of them are sleeping in their offices while others make do with whoever can accommodate them. This is Constable Seri Ati, who works at the Madang Town Police Station by day and uses his office to sleep by night. It's been years.
Me public servant and how about me staff was him. Now work sleep the same office, work the same office. Me no got up long cook I get to. No got toilet, no got shower, and me must travel some distance panning what outside the station. The cook too, me must. I remember man go cook. Oh, ida me must buy no kai bana kai, in which costly too much.
Also in the same building is where another officer, a public prosecutor, has been living. It is understood that some of them have been evicted from their houses due to non-payment of rental fees, with rumors of the latest being just last week. The Madang Governor, Jim Katz, in an interview said that it is up to the police department to commit itself and address this problem.
I'm appealing to the police department for them to restore some confidence back in Madang Eben or Madang province by revisiting the agreement, come to Madang with the funding. The land is there now. As the owner or shareholder of the company, the business arm. We're just appealing to the police department to come back and going into some serious business about having the police barracks constructed here. We've got some more land to acquire at Sogaram. And if the police is serious, they should come and talk to us.
Groundbreaking ceremonies have taken place at locations said to be for police barracks, but nothing has been done since, and the bush has grown back.
On one hand, I mean, they talk about finding ground along walking police housing now. We do our best in cooperating with them, and yet the funding is not even secured for them to come. They look at the provincial governments. The provincial governments as an entity may play Alvimolo ground. So funding, they should likewise complement it by securing funding. And I think that was the arrangement that we had in allocating land for them at Sierra.
While the buck is passed around, the problem gets worse. The province is still without a provincial police commander and not even someone acting in this position. Rachel Shise, National EMTV News, Madang.
Police Commissioner Gary Baki says the Madang provincial government has to take responsibility for the ailing state of the police houses at the Kusbao Police Barracks. Lae and Madang's chronic police housing problem continue to affect police presence in both provinces, leading to the ever-existing high crime rates. 37.6 million kina has been allocated in the 2016 national budget to increase police presence in towns and cities. EMTV's Bethany Harriman takes another look at Madang's police housing problem.
Madang is a booming township with attention drawn to its high crime rate. It's now become an embarrassment for the police force that is blamed for the spike. But that blame is shared with a provincial and district government that has failed to build housing for police personnel.
So it's both the police responsibility and you could say there's some provincial responsibility that should come inside. So I always say people cannot say now it's a national function. It's not a national function. Policing is a responsibility that we take it throughout.
In Madang town, the families of policemen live in the condemned Kusbao barracks. The reality is families live in squalid conditions. Most policemen refuse to go to Madang because of the housing problem.
Madang has suffered for it. I am sorry to say this, but it needs a lot of support from our political leaders as well too. You know, to give the support to police to do their job.
In the 2016 budget lockup tabled in Parliament 2 days ago showed around 37 million kina allocated to the police modernization program. That sum is allocated towards ensuring police stations are adequately manned and resourced.
It also means more police presence in public places and with a view to prevent the crimes before they happen. But with police housing problems in Lae and Madang, policemen often refuse to settle there, and it affects the police modernization program from happening effectively. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Lae.
The police union wants to see members progress in their career with the force. This was in response to Police Commissioner Gary Baki's announcement yesterday to revive the Cadet Officers Program.
Police Union President Lae Tambua said the training of cadet officers will fill the management gap the force is currently experiencing. The union wants the constabulary to select candidates that are already in the force so that they can build their careers. Despite disciplinary issues the force is facing, the union is certain there are few who can fit the position.
When we take someone from hard side, and start suppressing our members, the NCOs who are already in the command and control positions, now the traffic is not flowing.
Commissioner Baki announced the reviving of the cadet program yesterday. He said about 75% of the entire police force are reaching the retirement age and the force is running short of manpower. The cadetship program has been suspended after a decade.
So we have forced into a situation that we have to train policemen continuously now and start filling the gaps. Otherwise, the gap between the older generations and the younger generations will be such that it will be too difficult for us to close. And we are now experiencing it from within the commission officers' rank now.
Meanwhile, the union praised the government and Commissioner Baki for announcing the proposal to build 6,000 new buildings around the country. However, they challenged the government to honor their commitment. The union said housing problem has been a welfare issue for the policemen and women.
That the housing as committed by the government must become a reality.
The union says it is committed in fighting for members to get proper services. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
And now let's check out the finance news. The Kina closed 10 points lower at $0.3395 in the interbank market today. And at Bank South Pacific, our Kina was trading at $0.3320 $0.4617 Australian dollars, 0.3021 euro, and 40.02 Japanese yen. Taking a look at commodity prices at New York close, copper closed lower, while gold, coffee and cocoa closed the day higher. Crude oil and copper closed higher as well, while palm oil closed the day lower. And lastly, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 39 points lower, the ASX closed at 93 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 3 points higher as well. In the news ahead, carbon trade training, also research on energy resources, and Australia Awards Roadshow. Stay with us for the details of those reports. Good to have you back with National EMTV News. Despite Papua New Guinea's leading role in trying to implement a carbon trade policy at the international level, implementers say proper awareness for locals remain an obstacle. Because of the technicalities of the concept, it becomes difficult for environmental scientists to educate average Papua New Guineans to understand carbon trade. A workshop for scientists is now looking at alternative ways to educate locals on carbon trade.
The two-day workshop involved representatives from PNG Forest Authority, members from Forest Carbon Partnership and the UN Red Plus team. Its aim is to identify PNG's status on the reducing emissions from deforestation and degradation or Red Plus readiness and give an update on the Red Plus work in PNG.
How do you distribute those benefits between different communities, the different stakeholders involved? Again, that work has been pioneered in Papua New Guinea with the support of the RED program, and it is now being trialled out and so on. And other countries are all watching to see. Because if we can make it work in Papua New Guinea, it can work in other places as well.
In 2005, PNG became the first country in the world to show interest in creating and implementing a policy that will look at reducing emissions from deforestation and degradation. Assessments from local and international organizations that deal with environmental conservation reveal that PNG has been an active player in formulating a guideline to monitor carbon trade.
In terms of the technical input or policy, I think we have the first climate change policy in the country, in the world, from a developing country standpoint. We also have a climate change bill or legislation. This is the third in the world as we understand.
At the end of the training, participants are expected to have a general understanding of RED readiness and inform PNG on what steps to take towards RED Plus implementation at a national level. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Papua New Guinea's vast renewable and non-renewable energy resource is yet to see its potential developed. Significant efforts have been made but with little progress so far. The higher education sector is now pushing this agenda forward with the hosting of the 2015 PNG Clean and Renewable Energy Conference at the University of Papua New Guinea next week.
Papua New Guinea has huge potential in generating a reliable, affordable and clean energy system. But frameworks to develop these have been slow and lacking research methods from all sectors responsible. UPNG's School of Natural and Physical Science is now putting its hand up to lead and start a forum where ideas can be shared and discussed to take stock of PNG's renewable energy system. a sector where the whole country might depend on in terms of electricity, a key service hampered by many challenges.
Basically, it's a first move now by the university, one university. Hopefully all the other universities will follow suit, but it's towards the renewable energy sector.
Chair Mobiha says the conference will assist think tanks to foster a way forward by higher learning institutions to grow a clean and renewable energy. This will also have impacts on the current drafting of the National Energy Policy, a policy yet to be finalized by relevant government agencies and departments.
Drive this issue or address this energy efficiency issue, and at the same time remind that it has to be clean and renewable.
The conference will be a two-day event from the 11th to 12th November at the University of PNG MLT Room. The first day of the conference will focus on policy issues, while the second on implementation in the energy sector.
Knowing what is energy and what it does and how do you unlock the potential in this area.
The conference is expected to attract energy experts from Europe, Asia and the Pacific to share ideas and develop PNG's energy sector. A sum of 50,000 kina was presented by UPNG BESA to the conference chair in hosting the meet. Other key players in the energy sector also have thrown their support behind the conference. Jack Lapava, Junior National, EMTV News.
The Bank of Papua New Guinea will focus more on improving access to financial products for people living in unbanked areas in the country. BPNG Governor Lae Port says because many banking facilities are located only in provincial towns, it limits people from remote areas to access these services. BPNG, through its financial education program, is now looking at avenues to bring these services into unbanked areas.
A discussion this morning between BPNG, local financial institutions and international facilitators of financial education in the Pacific suggests that more banking services should be established in remote areas. This would increase access to financial products for people living in remote areas and decrease the high rate of financial illiteracy in the Pacific.
With a passion to promote financial inclusion, which is providing affordable, quality, accessible financial services to the poor and the unbanked.
In Papua New Guinea, at least 8 out of every 10 people do not have access to basic financial knowledge on savings or how to access financial products like personal loans or opening a bank account. In 2013, BPNG started educating people on the basic financial education. Today, the training conducted under the Center for Excellence in Financial Inclusion, or CEFI, has trained over 8,000 people in the Highlands region.
Basically means that there is a huge amount of potential that is still waiting to be tapped. And this, if you look at the proportion of the poor people that have access to mobile phone services, about 1 billion people who are unbanked have access to mobile phones. So this basically sets the context in terms of the potential and the promise for the future.
The discussion today sets a new platform for financial education in PNG. That platform is to identify areas for improvement in teaching financial skills and assess the current digital financial services in PNG. Takla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The Young Port Moresby Chamber of Commerce and Industry today hosted the Australia Awards Information Session in Port Moresby. The Australia Awards program is an initiative of the Australian government. The Australia Awards in PNG aims to contribute to the country's long-term development by awarding scholarships in areas that align with PNG's development needs.
Applications for the prestigious Australia Awards Scholarship for 2007 were opened on October 5th. Those who attended the information session today were told that the scholarships are highly competitive. Selections are based on academic ability, leadership, relevance to PNG's national development priorities, and overall preparedness to study in Australia. This year, the Australian government offered around 120 Australia Awards scholarships. All young Papua New Guineans, especially people living in the provinces, living with a disability, and women, are encouraged to pursue an opportunity of a lifetime by applying for the scholarships. The Australia Awards PNG Information Centre, located downtown, is equipped with resource materials for those in the nation's capital. Applications for the Australia Awards Scholarship for 2017 will close on February 29, 2016. Deli Waigeno, National MTV News.
Well, National MTV News continues with True Guy Sports. That's coming up next. And Will Genia says thank you to PNG as he heads off to Europe. I'll be back with the details. Stay with us.
True Guy Sports.
Welcome and thanks for joining me with True Guy Sports. Well, after 8 years in the business, Will Genia has finally called it quits from Australian rugby. His move to Paris following the Rugby World Cup signalled an end to representative duties for Australia, which began in 2007 with the Queensland Reds. After a bold decision to step out of the green and gold jersey, Genia then thanked PNG for supporting him throughout his success while representing his mother's heritage.
For those of you who don't know much about former Wallabies halfback, his story dates back to the late 90s, where he spent most of his educational childhood right here at the Elamari International School. Genia and his siblings attended Temis before he made his way to Brisbane Boys College, where he realized his talent and potential in rugby. From a schoolboys rugby rep to an Aussie schoolboys halfback and later the Queensland Reds Little General, his career spans across 8 years. He was an integral part of the Queensland Reds and later the Wallabies. Throughout his time with Australian rugby, Will Genia has been considered and remains one of just 4 members of the Queensland Reds to earn 100 caps for Queensland, with more than 50 tests to his name, and second to George Gregan as the most capped Wallabies halfback. While all good things must come to an end, the 2015 Rugby World Cup marked the conclusion of the 27-year-old's Australian rugby career. After moving to France following the Rugby World Cup, Genia took to social media to thank Papua New Guineans for the support he received not only during the Rugby World Cup but throughout his career in Australia. He said as a proud Papua New Guinean, he has always represented both Australia and his homeland whenever he pulled on his jersey, and hopes that he has set a good example for young kids in PNG that dreams can come true and never let anyone tell you that you can't. Genia has signed a 3-year deal with a French club. While the recent Rugby World Cup signaled the end of his rugby career in Australia, he still very much remains eligible for selection. But life after rugby, Genia hopes to move back to further develop the code. Dion Kombang, National MTV Sports.
Will Genia is a true legend. While Rugby League has topped the pool in Papua New Guinea as the national sport, many have suggested otherwise. MTV Online conducted a survey on Facebook last month, querying whether or not all sporting codes should receive equal, if not more financial support than Rugby League. MTV's Lorraine Genia has this report based on stats gathered from the online poll.
It is without a doubt that rugby league is the #1 sport here in Papua New Guinea. They receive immense support from the national government through the sports ministry and of course through corporate sponsors. Now, although the SB Hunters are yet to win an intra-Super Cup and the Kumals yet to claim a major international rugby league tournament, the PNG Rugby Touch team remained 3rd best in the world, #1 in the Pacific, while the Mosquitoes are recent World Cup champions. Yet some argue that very little support is given. A social media poll conducted online the MTV Sports Facebook page showed that 90% of Facebook users who commented were vouching for more support for codes other than Rugby League. MTV Sports also took to the streets of Port Moresby, and this is what some had to say.
Meeting osem Rugby League molksi planti money to masna. Also serim lo samdagan code ose sokan about.
Gaman give big planning to mas lo Rugby League. Like 2 players now will give antas, but only making the finals. It also fair over the sporting code.
In April last year, Minister Chichenko announced the government's support of 1.5 million kina through the National Gaming Control Board to the Hunters, while in comparison, AFL PNG receives the majority of their funding from AFL Australia and MVIL, and rugby union through corporate sponsorships. However, Chichenko has said on previous occasions, rugby league's advantage lies at the administration of the code.
The league succeeding rugby union because it's got its act together. Got the right board in place, right administration now with its brand new CEO, Mr. Cutmore.
Rugby League's internal structure has allowed the code to prosper and develop over the years. Now, with one of the strongest player pathways in place in the country, Chichenko has suggested perhaps other codes can look to Rugby League as a means of improvement. Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
Coca-Cola Epatas Cup Chief Executive Officer Timothy Lepa says the premier rural-based competition is further expanding to the New Guinea Islands. Late this afternoon, Lepa said Bougainville, New Ireland and West New Britain have teams participating. There are also teams coming from the East Sepik province. The Coca-Cola Epatas Cup is renowned for producing elite PNG Kumu players from the rural areas of Papua New Guinea.
So the Epatas Cup was there to really go to bring rugby to the doorstep to find talent. So far, we have created more Kumus, now 133 last year. And now we got about 4 already named young boys who will be playing for Hunters this year. We'll take the number up to, maybe 220, whatever. But our aim and goal of this competition.
Well, Trukai Sports continues with news on soccer. That's coming up after this break. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Well, all eyes will be on PNG as it plays host to the 2016 FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup and the most recently announced OFC Nations Cup. The tournament will act as the region's FIFA World Cup qualifiers and will run from the 28th to the 11th of June next year. MTV's Shane Soroya has more in this report.
PNG has shown its potential in hosting world-class events, such as the recent Pacific Games, that saw over 5,000 athletes and officials flooding the streets of Port Moresby to take part or just as spectators to the region's spectacular event. And it has brought many beneficial impacts on the society, the government and also the people. Now once again, Papua New Guinea is set for a big year in 2016 with the news that Port Moresby will play host to the Oceania Football Confederation Nations Cup. This will act as stage 2 of the region's FIFA World Cup qualifier. The OFC Nations Cup is arguably the biggest competition in the region. Australia and New Zealand were the only 2 teams that have won the trophy after 8 editions. Australia ceased to be a member of the OFC on January the 1st, 2006, having elected to join the Asian Football Confederation and hence no longer participate in the tournament. In the 2012 OFC Nations Cup, Tahiti became the first team other than Australia and New Zealand to be crowned Oceania champions. Now the tournament will come to the shores of PNG. And also the eyes of the football world will be on PNG as the 2016 FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup will bring along over 1,000 players and officials into the country. Teams from 16 countries will take part in the tournament, drawn from 6 confederations that make up global football. These will be 4 teams of European countries, 2 teams from Oceania countries, including Papua New Guinea, 3 teams from Caribbean and North America, 3 Asian countries, and 2 from South America and 2 from Africa. With the mammoth task at hand, General Secretary of PNG Football Association, Dimrit Milang, says the tournament is more positive news for the local football fraternity. And next year's tournament will demonstrate all the hard work the PNG Football Association has been doing over the last 10 years. Games will be played at Sir John Guy Stadium, Sir Hubert Murray, and the National Football Stadium in Port Moresby. Shane Soroya, National EMTV Sports.
Still on the topic of soccer, FC Port Moresby is looking at improving its standing this season after Madang FC ended the club's campaign in the semi-finals of the NSL competition. Captain Roland Bala made this known, saying the team has also recruited young and essential talent.
Captain Roland Bala said that the team slacked off last season and were not at their peak.
We cannot stop straight low, peak where we slack.
expectation mipla. So level mipla like stop long mipla no been like reaching. We were playing at least 70-80%. So yeah, mipla very good lo. Pila mipla but kalau semi-finals, I think we just lacked a bit of quality to finish off, just to make that step further.
The team has a lot of fresh faces, with 7 under-23 players from the Pacific Games, and the youngest of them being only 17 years old.
Under 23 boys, plus myself, Jamal Sito, we have the senior boys in Gary Moka, the Lepani brothers, and we have Riley, who is here for work, but then joining Pelo Pilai too, from New Zealand. So yeah, now I'm the boy UK too, Aaron.
They have been working solely on fitness with the aim of making it through to the finals. The team has taken on new strategies with experienced players, setting a platform and setting a pathway for the younger players in the team.
Our coach wants us to be at a certain level where we have to be fit for this season. So yeah, we play work with this fitness for me plan as well as technical plays. Combination do boys want it.
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
And that's how we wrap up True Kai Sports tonight, but stay tuned, we have the weather details, that's after this break.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
And now let's check out the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. In southern region, the nation's capital, possible evening showers. Cloudy weather experienced in Daru. Brief showers for Kerema. Evening showers likely developing in Alatau, while Popondetta to look forward to evening brief showers. And now recapping our top stories for tonight before we go. Lae Port workers and their strike. Also, Ijivitari by-election to get underway this Saturday, and Airlines PNG now trading as PNG AIR. And that wraps up the bulletin for tonight. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Tokana Hasavi Jr. Thanks for your company. You take care and stay happy. Good night.